Hey there, it's your boy Foxy, back for more relationship stories. Wife admitted to having an ongoing affair with her boss, who's married with 2 kids after only being married to me for 4 months. Hi all, I really appreciate this community and found it very helpful throughout this process, so I'd like to share a truncated version of my story. My now ex-wife and I had been together for about 6 years before we got married last June of 2021. Getting married during a pandemic wasn't easy, but we had a wonderful wedding, and it was one of the happiest days of my life. Fast forward a few months later, and my wife became a completely different person. She opted to go to the office regularly, while I continued to work from home. We both worked from home throughout the pandemic. She worked for a big firm, so the longer hours seemed to be par for the course, but she no longer wanted to spend quality time with me on the weekends, spending a lot of time with her horse, and began to downplay my achievements, claiming I was no longer a go-getter, even though I was doing very well at work. People say that the first year of marriage can be hard, so I started taking my wife on regular date nights to reinvigorate our relationship, but she remained withdrawn and judgmental, which was a big blow to my self-esteem. I racked my brain thinking of what I might have done to make her act and feel this way, but I couldn't come up with anything plausible, so I started to lose sleep thinking I was possibly losing my wife to someone else. These were the worst months of my life, because I couldn't believe you could lose the person you married so shortly after tying the knot. So I convinced myself it was the pressure of her job that was causing her to act this way, and I opted to suppress the negative thoughts to avoid exacerbating the issues we were having. She was actually gaslighting me the whole time, and I just didn't know it. D-Day. I organized a romantic weekend by the beach despite my suspicions, in order to try and revive what we had prior to our marriage. I thought this would renew our bond, but she became more brazen with her disdain. I told her I loved her on our way to dinner. She didn't even reciprocate. And later that evening she had me take a not safe for work photo of her in a bubble bath, and when I mentioned that it was a bit too scandalous for social media, she responded, "That's not what I'm using it for." We have been intimate throughout our marriage, but she refused to be intimate with me on this trip. That's when I finally confronted her on my suspicions and demanded she be honest with me. She denied everything for a while, but I convinced her I had proof when I didn't, and she finally confessed. She admitted to sleeping with her boss on numerous occasions for months and that he was pressuring her to leave me. I went through a panic attack, which I never experienced before, and after finally calming down, I realized what a fool she was for falling for his lies. I told her I was going to inform his wife, and she responded, "She'll find out, but you won't be the one to tell her." That's when I knew my ex-wife had convinced herself she was going to run away with her boss. It was sick and a little evil, and I realized that my ex-wife was never who I married. The real her was this manipulative and vile stranger. She changed my flight that night and sent me to my parents' house, and told me she would mail me some boxes of my clothes. I contacted the boss's wife via social media as soon as I got to the airport, and that's when all hell broke loose. Long story short, the boss never planned on leaving his family, and in order to try and save his marriage, he distanced himself from my ex-wife as quickly as possible. Apparently, HR had to get involved, and my ex-wife quickly gained a reputation around her office. She cried and pleaded with me to take her back, but I told her she made the decision, and I'm just completing her plan. Aftermath. Success is the best revenge. Life has been good now that the dust has settled. I live near some of my closest friends and found a great job in California. I'm learning to love myself again and have realized that my ex-wife's opinion of me during our marriage is not a reflection of who I am or my inherent value. I'm truly happier without her, and while I occasionally feel disheartened by what transpired, I feel blessed that this truth came to light before we had kids. Now for the top comments. Wow, I can't believe she had you take a picture of her in the bathtub for her boss. These cheaters are seriously twisted in the head. Congrats on exiting that situation. I bet it excited her to know her husband was taking it for her affair partner. What a twisted individual. Hilarious how it backfired on her, with the boss pressuring her to leave OP, meanwhile he had no intention of leaving his wife for her. At least the affair partner was taking out the trash for OP. Yeah, they are. My soon-to-be ex-wife was planning on inviting her affair partner over with his girlfriend to our place for the Super Bowl. They both agreed that it would be amazing, and that it would be their little inside thing. The mindset of a cheater is truly evil and devious. 3.5 months into divorce. Come on. It will really be very helpful for some of us if you can share the process by which you were able to have seemingly been able to detach from your partner rather quickly and with minimal damage. Most of us here are still reeling even after a year. Thanks. It is not easy and the pain still lingers. But you have to focus on yourself and improving yourself in any way you can. Exercising, eating better, adventuring, spending more time with friends and family. It all helped me cope with the trauma. I even worked hard to refine my resume and reached out to connections to find new job opportunities. It's not that I disliked my previous job, but I wanted a complete reset. I focused a lot of my energy at my new job to cement myself within the organization and distract myself from the pain. I still have trouble sleeping some nights, but as I got healthier and happier, I exuded a confidence that attracted the people around me. The best thing you can do is show growth and maturation despite these embarrassing circumstances. Show others that your ex does not define you, and those around will start to admire you for a quality they never knew you had. Everything takes time, and I promise you it was not easy for me in the early stages. But use this opportunity to find yourself again and evolve. Whatever happened to the ex-wife? Did she lose her job? Did the boss lose his job? What happened to the boss? Is there any chance they will end up together? How did her family and friends react to the news of her infidelity? They're not ending up together. HR set forth rules that no longer allowed them to work on cases together to protect the firm from liability, but my ex-wife inevitably left and found a new job. I don't know how her family and friends reacted, since I don't know what kind of story she spun for them, but her father reached out to me via text with some very kind words. That was very big of him to do that, and I am very grateful for his kindness. OP, thanks for your comment on the process for recovery, which is right on. Success is the best revenge. My story is similar to yours, going back to the 80s, where we all worked together. My ex-wife also thought that her and affair partner would ride off into the sunset, but soon realized that he just wanted to hook up. I posted my story in hopes that some betrayed spouse may listen to an old man, and with the process you've mentioned and what I'm about to say, will get them on their way. Like you, for me it was about self-improvement and reshaping my life. I wanted my ex to be sorry of the choices that she made. To the betrayed, if you've had enough, reached your threshold for pain, and want to break away from a codependent relationship, as OP states, exercise, join a gym, and do physical activity. I played sports and took karate with my kids. Spend as much time with your kids, if you have them. This will help them get through what your partner has destroyed. Change your hair, get a new wardrobe which helps restore self-esteem and confidence. Be social and visit family and friends who are your support. Think about how to enhance or even change your career. I took night classes, where I met my wife of 36 years. At the same time, getting promotions on the same job, reaching a top position in management. She remained there, but affair partner was fired. I sit back in retirement after a successful career, happily married to the love of my life, and enjoying our grown children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. Just a glimpse into a possible future for anyone who chooses themselves and their children. My oldest son gave a speech at a function describing me as accomplished and hero. My heart burst. Thank you for sharing this. That glimpse into the future certainly gives me confidence and puts me at ease. Also, love that you got the credit you deserve from your eldest son. Kids recognize the sacrifices in the long run. I still find it incredulous the twisted mindscape that cheaters create. They need to somehow invent justification for their choice to cheat, and voila, an entire fantasy landscape springs into existence full of running away. What the heck is this even? As if they are both just going to quit their jobs and potentially walk away from any children involved to move away and live happily ever after. And just being with each other in happiness and love without the outside world ever intruding on them. And just as inexplicably, they want to come home once the bubble pops and they are left with the consequences of their actions. Sadly and surprisingly, many betrayed spouses are willing to take back their betrayer because they still felt the love they had for that person, even though that person demonstrated unequivocally that they don't have the same feelings for you. What is it about our society that people feel entitled to lie and cheat and be just awful partners, but somehow still feel entitled to be in a relationship with the person they are betraying in such an awful manner? I told my ex-wife that if she felt any disdain for me to excuse her actions, so be it. But what did the boss's wife and kids ever do to her? She even had me meet the boss and his wife over lunch. It was an extremely selfish and stupid act on her part. To be honest, I may have worked on it if it was a one-time thing and she was truly remorseful. But to go back to him on numerous occasions and plot to leave me made the situation a very painful no-brainer. Your ex met her affair partner with his wife. Was this after you blew up their affair? Is your ex-wife's affair partner still married? Did he and your ex-wife get fired from their jobs? This was before I blew up their affair. I'm not sure, but I think affair partner stayed married for the kids. Now for the last story. I saw her after a few years. Wow. My ex and I share a friend group. We met them together and have known them for years. A few people decided not to associate with her anymore after what she did to me, but most people accept her friendship still, and that's okay with me. We were together a decade and had known these people the last 4 years of that. A couple days ago, my friends threw a party, and on the way, someone told me she would be there. I said that's fine, and jokingly said she'll just have to deal with how good I look. I always expect the likelihood of her being at a party with these friends, but it hasn't happened in 3 years. I was prepared for feelings and maybe some physical avoidance. I got there, was having a good time, and then saw someone I didn't recognize at all. I started walking in that direction, and then it hit me. It was her, plus about 60 to 80 pounds, and she was rather petite before. No fat shaming, but it was wild to not be able to recognize her. Her voice was so ruined from cigarettes that I couldn't recognize that either. Anyway, later in the night, I thought I saw her again, but it was someone else. Then I realized I just couldn't recognize her anymore, and it felt really good. I do look freaking awesome right now too. I cut in my first six-pack a couple years back, and have put my health in a much higher priority than it used to be. I wonder if she had a hard time recognizing me. It also made me realize that the extra weight I had, about 80 to 90 pounds extra, was because I didn't care about myself when I was with her. I wondered if the weight she put on was partially from shame of what she did to me. I met her boyfriend. He came up and introduced himself to me. She didn't talk to me, as I told her in a letter long ago to pretend she doesn't know me and doesn't want to know me because I appear totally uninteresting, and I'll give her the same respect. She complied, and that also felt empowering. He wasn't who she cheated with, and he was actually a lot like me. I hope she doesn't treat him how she treated me, because he seemed like a genuinely good person. The guy she cheated with and started a relationship with was an abusive coke dealer and was an enabler during a time that she was spiraling into addiction, lying to me about it, and refusing my help, which was very non-aggressive, just concerned and looking for ways I could help her, but she didn't want help, she wanted coke. Apparently, her parents had to lock him out of a family holiday dinner for hitting her. Those were always such warm bonding times for the family. It's wild to think of it getting violent. Last night I had a nightmare that I was at a small gathering, and she showed up looking how she used to, and I used the bathroom. When I came out, everyone was gone because she had convinced them all to go to a show while I was in the bathroom. It was frustrating, and I couldn't reach anyone and drove into town, finding a friend at a gas station and hanging out with him. It was pretty chill, and I realized that just connecting with someone who cared about me was much more important than going out and getting crazy. I woke up feeling pretty good about it. I think my mind is telling me there is still trauma, but I am healing well. I was able to turn around the nightmare into something much better, and it seems like a reflection of my life. I'm feeling pretty good about things. Oh, and last night I had a date, the first one in over 4 years, and it went really well. Keep your stick on the ice, survivors. You can make it to the next step, which is thriving. Just keep doing what you need to for yourself. Love yourself, build yourself, be with people who respect and love you, let the bad feels come and go, hold on to the good feels, identify not with what has happened to you, but with the way you can overcome it, and create beauty from destruction. It is all there, and it can be so hard to find. Just look into yourself and focus on what brings you love and motivation. Sometimes it takes practice, patience, going through the motions even if you don't feel like it, and telling yourself positive things that don't feel true at times. Don't let it feel like a waste of time. Fight that feeling and say, no, F you, sad me. I'm going to force myself to have a good day. Even with clinical depression, I have been able to turn around a day sometimes just by putting myself on a bicycle or walking out into the woods in a bad mood, not feeling like it, and coming back on a much better one. Please know you are loved, you are important, you will overcome this, you will thrive. As a great man once said, my ex said she gave me the best years of her life. I saw a recent picture of her, and I guess she was right. That's rich. I really love what you wrote, and I'll probably be reading the last few paragraphs every day this week to try to pull myself out of the slump I've been in. I'm really happy for you, OP. You have worked really hard on yourself and have chosen some well-deserved happiness, and I can almost see you shining from where I am. I really appreciate it, glad my words can help. You deserve to feel loved, especially by yourself. Any advice that helped you work on yourself? I realized that there were a lot of days at the beginning where I didn't want to do anything at all. I just pushed myself to either choose one act of self-love or self-improvement every day. Self-love and self-improvement are pathways to each other. You love yourself, you'll want to improve. You improve, you'll appreciate yourself more. So, I would choose things like going out for a bike ride or learning a new hobby or skill, getting the nice steak at the market instead of the cheapest one, or enrolling in a course. I would take myself on a date, think to myself, where would I go if I was trying to impress someone, and take myself there. It sometimes felt forced, but just going through the motions, it would help me start to feel it. I also dropped most carbs. They trigger your dopamine receptors and can worsen depression. It was tough at first, like getting through an addiction literally, but after a couple weeks, you don't even care about pasta or sugars or whatever. Hey there, it's your boy Foxy, back for more relationship stories. Update: never saw this coming. Fair warning, this post was originally dug up from a subreddit for cheaters, and the OP was asking advice from a bunch of degenerates, so the dialogue in the comment sections with the OP can be very disturbing. Original post: don't even know if this is the right forum at the moment. In gist, a fair partner got served divorce papers out of nowhere 2 days ago at work. Her husband knows of us and me, and it's only a matter of time before my wife finds out. Don't know if I have days or hours before the world as I know it is gone. Took some time off work to spend time with my wife and 2 daughters. My body is in turmoil, but strangely my mind is clear. It reminds me of the days leading up to my dad passing away. Time has slowed down and I am aware of all the things surrounding me. It's a nice feeling. My day today was filled with observation of details and appreciation. My wife's smell and the clothes she wore, my daughter's laughter, the color of the kitchen tiles, the dog, the yard. Feel blessed to have a healthy and beautiful family. What will my daughters think of me? I look at my wife that I love with all my heart, and I see a woman who stood by me no matter what. We had our fair share of ups and downs like most couples, but I never imagined a life without her. How do I justify a 6-year affair? Is that even forgivable? I don't know what the future holds. All I know is that the storm is coming, and I am here basking in the sun until the clouds come rolling in. I plan to confess over the weekend. Even if I know the outcome, I pray she does not leave me. This was so freaking not worth it. Any suggestions on how to confess? How do you start? What do I tell my daughters? I have already made an appointment with a therapist. What else can I do? Wish me luck. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. Not trying to be mean or anything, but you never imagined life without her. You had a 6-year affair and you love your wife with all your heart. It sounds like you are really confused. Maybe she will stick by you with counseling. I am not confused. Never was. I don't have a problem separating love from sex. My heart is loyal to my woman, and she is it for me. I don't think you know the meaning of loyalty. I don't know. You're just dumb if she's the one and you did this, LMFAO. You don't deserve her at all. You have a lot to sort through, but you are taking the right direction to line up some individual counseling for yourself. Be ready to move out if you are kicked out after the storm. 6 years is a long affair by any measure. If it wasn't worth it, what was a fair partner to you? Someone you could also toy around with along with your wife. For the record, this is the classic definition of throwing someone under the bus to save yourself. Maybe start by owning up to what you've done. If you think the affair partner's betrayed spouse will reach out to your wife and tell her everything he discovered, I would suggest you start telling the truth. I am not a betrayed, but it seems that trickle-truthing hurts way more over time. Whether your long-term affair is forgivable or not is no longer in your control. So many responses about how I don't value my affair partner. Well, since I am on a pour my heart out roll, here, let me tell you about my affair partner. She is a gorgeous and a smart woman who is funny and open to different experiences. She is younger than myself and my wife. Fit, seductive, sexy as heck. But she is not my wife and does not even compare. 6 years on and off is a long time to invest. As I see it, she is an adult woman who made decisions to cheat with a married man on her husband for whatever reasons. Do I care for her? Yes, 6 years is a long time. Do I love her? No. Did I say to her I loved her? Yes, of course I did. But I lied, just as I lied to my wife. Did I use her? Yes, I did. Did she use me? Of course she freaking did. We both knew we played with fire. This wouldn't have happened if your wife was intimate on a regular basis, I assume. That she was affectionate but her desire for intimacy and the physical act was zero. Don't feel bad about yourself. You will get past this and start a new life with your lover now that she is getting a divorce too. Nope, not true at all. And I don't want to start a new life with my affair partner. Best of luck to her and all, but she is not the gal for me long term. Everyone's being judgmental as heck because it hurts them to think an affair partner is all they are to someone. It hurts hearing the family is more important. It hurts hearing he doesn't love her or want her anymore. But wake up, this is the reality and what it usually comes down to. I say fess up. Tell wifey everything and take some responsibility. After 6 years, at least that weight will be off your chest. You made your bed OP. The reason I strayed has nothing to do with my wife. We have a good intimate life in general, but I do have some kinks that she is not into at all. My affair partner was into the same kinks. That's how we met, and that is why the affair was ongoing for 6 years. What led me to starting the affair was my wife being in an accident that took a toll on her body. Intimacy was off the table for over a year. I gave in to temptation, and when I discovered the affair partner shared my kink, I was hooked. So all you people saying my wife was withholding intimacy, no, my wife and I are very intimate. Doing it with my wife is making love. Doing it with a affair partner is just a physical thing. My wife meets 90% of all my needs, while my affair partner meets the remaining 10%. Edit. Thank you all for your comments and suggestions. Some of them were hard to read. I don't have time to address all comments, but will reply to few to clear some things. Yesterday, I reached out to my brother for advice. He left his wife some years ago and married his affair partner. He seemed happy with her, but the grass is not greener for him after all, and he is planning on leaving her but is stuck at the moment. His advice is to not tell my wife and to minimize if confronted. He also said I should let down affair partner gently so she does not go nuclear on my wife and family. I am hoping for the best but preparing for the worst. Now for the first update. I was prepared for all scenarios but not this one. The D-Day did not come in the shape I was expecting. Affair partner ended up convincing her soon-to-be ex not to spill the beans to my wife in exchange for a smooth divorce, and I thought I was in the clear. But yesterday affair partner sent me a blurry photo of my wife in the car with another man. She claimed they walked hand in hand to his car from a store in a nearby town to ours. She got a shot of the plates too. After some digging, I now know she is having an affair. Don't know how long for sure, but at least 6 months. He is a single dad our age and is telling her to leave the marriage, and she is telling him she loves him. I'm afraid to confront her, feel numb at the moment and took a day off work. Any advice? I love her and want to stay married. Edit. Any advice on how to proceed? Should I just let it run its course and monitor? Should I confront and hope for the best? Should I confess to my affair and hope we all can come clean and make way for a new marriage? I am so freaking utterly confused. I have rehearsed the things I would say and do if she was to find out about my affairs, but I was not prepared for this mess. Promise I'm not trying to bust your balls, just trying to understand. Why can't your wife have cake of her own? I'm not a cake eater, but a single affair partner to 2 of them. I guess I'm not seeing the big deal. You're both getting your itches scratched. Logically, yes, we are both getting our itches scratched. What's the big deal? I am not ruled by logic at this moment. Maybe later, but now my emotions are overpowering every logic. Never in my life have I experienced this type of emotional and physical distress. I can't even think straight. Never thought I was gonna bawl my eyes out and throw up on the carpet. Not a cake eater, but it sounds like you may be getting a taste of your own medicine. She probably knows that you've been cheating even if she can't prove it. You didn't expect if you carried on this way it could drive a wedge in your marriage and drive her to maybe seeking someone else. You are for sure a hypocrite, and I'm sorry to say, but it sounds like you're just feeling how your wife was probably for a long time. Don't ignore your feelings, explore them and really try to understand what you being a cake eater has done to your wife and marriage. If you love her and want to make it work, then have the conversation. Admit to your affairs and decide to recommit yourself to your significant other if she decides she still wants to make it work too. If not, then I'm sorry to say, but your marriage is most likely over, and I suggest you don't get remarried until you figure out what you want. Cake eating might not suit you if when your significant other decides they deserve the same satisfaction, and you fall to pieces. Just sounds like you're kind of a selfish narcissist, honestly. Sorry if this is hard to hear, but you sound like you need to hear it. Your actions have consequences whether she knows what you're doing or doesn't. I don't think his wife cheating is the issue. I think the issue is that his wife loves or claims to love the other man, and the other man is pushing his wife to leave him. Yeah, this is it. Yes, I don't know how I feel about being on the other side. Never had fantasies about my wife doing it with other men. We had a good intimate life minus my kinks that she was not aware of, hence the long-term affair partner. I am thinking, what do I have to lose? There can be only 2 outcomes. She loves him and she leaves, or she loves me and she stays. I am hoping this is just a fling and nothing serious. That makes you an even bigger piece of trash. Instead of telling your wife what your kinks are, you just immediately outsource fulfilling your kinks to other home-wrecking hoes. The hell is wrong with you? Did your mother drink or do drugs while pregnant with you and drop you on your head as a baby? What she should have done is swallowed. I think you need to find out why your wife cheated. If her reasons lines up with yours, maybe there is a way to move to don't ask, don't tell. I am desperate to talk this out to know why this happened and how invested she really is in this piece of turd. If she is doing this out of revenge, maybe I have a chance. Because if so, she does feel something for me at least. I can't imagine her being emotionless throwing away over 20 years. I know this woman like I know myself. Deep down she's hurt, but also so very stubborn and proud. I just want to know if she knew about my affair and why the heck did she not confront me. I would have chosen her over a fair partner in a nanosecond. And what the heck is she hoping to find with this dush? He is no better than me, sleeping with a married woman. Aw damn, I am trying to respect her wish to have some space, but I am desperate to just talk to her. She's had plenty of time to process and deal with the emotional fallout of discovering 6 years of affairs, so it's entirely possible she has already moved on from you emotionally, and you were too busy hogging down cake to notice. Trust me when I say that when a woman gets to the point where her emotions seem to be non-existent, it took her a long time to get there, and there were plenty of signs along the way. She didn't lose her feelings for you overnight. You just had your face buried between the legs of other women and couldn't see it. And to be frank, you are terrible in that you feel entitled to your cake, while telling her she needs to be satisfied only with what you give her. And you're so self-centered you will not even try to wrap your head around the idea that some people take monogamy seriously, and are disgusted with the idea of eating cake. Which is asinine considering the majority of the population prefers monogamy. You did this to yourself. Now for the final update. My marriage seems to be over. Confronted wife this past weekend, sat her down without warning, and told her I knew she was having an affair, and with whom, and asked her if she loved him and what her plan was. She was caught off guard, went to the bathroom for 10 minutes, and when she came out, she looked me straight in the eyes and said, I know about your affair too. I have known for some time now. I love him and want a divorce. Next days were a blur. I tried to talk to her but she shuts me down. She has moved into the spare bedroom and is making appointments with law firms, and has told our 2 girls. I have signed up for emergency therapy, and now I'm on meds for dealing with anxiety and lack of sleep. This is surreal. Heard her talk to him last night and cut the internet cord. Kind of crazy because I need freaking internet for work, and she just switched to her phone. Aw man, so many emotions are running through me. I made love to her the past week, and today she is a total stranger. How does this happen? How can she not feel any freaking emotion? Over 20 years gone. All the love, friendship, partnership, intimacy, jokes, memories, plans for our future, gone. Just like that, no looking back. Feel so blindsided, and the only person I can talk to is my brother who lives across the country. Sorry to vent here to you fine people on here, just need to get this out. Since you're pretty much getting your butt handed to you here, I'll try to be gentle. But your response to all this is kinda unbelievable. You had to know this was a possible outcome. You spent 6 years in an affair for goodness sake. You messed up the 20 years long before she did. Now you have to deal with the consequences. Cheating in a horrible marriage is one thing. Cake eating is an even riskier move because you don't want to lose what you have at home. You took the risk and lost. It's part of the game. Of course you are allowed to feel hurt over the split, but at some point, you have to be realistic. Not shaming you for cake eating, but you can't pull the victim card when the tables turn. You should be shaming him for it. He disregarded someone he formed a contract with. He committed an act of infidelity upon someone. These fiends should instead start an affair with meth. It's much more pleasurable than hooking up, and it only harms themselves. First time visiting the sub of losers, and this is funny stuff. We'll visit more often. Yo, I'm gonna frequent this garbage dump for a while too. Miserable ducks here are good comedy, and a good dose of how to spot red flags, and how to stand your ground if you end up with one of these losers. But mostly just here so I can laugh my butt off. Made love to her last week. How does she not feel any emotion? This is simple. She has learned how to separate love and physical act. She does it with you, but loves her affair partner. You taught her well. OP dropped a quote in the comments of his first post that really spoke to me. It went, I am not confused. Never was. I don't have a problem separating love from the physical act. My heart is loyal to my woman, and she is it for me. And there we have it folks. A loser. Yeah, you can laugh your junk off. I am a selfish, entitled, arrogant, worst idiot among cheaters. But I do love my wife, contrary to what many of you believe. In my heart, I have never strayed. But she played me. Well done. Go tell your wife, in my heart, I have never strayed, and see if she believes you lol.